When the message arrived, it came not through the skies but through the dark silence between stars. A single broadcast echoed across every channel of the solar network, a declaration from a distant empire written in cold, calculated words. They claimed dominion over this sector of the galaxy. They called Earth a minor outpost, an unaligned civilization unworthy of independence. They demanded surrender. For most species, such a message would have caused fear, maybe panic. But on Earth, something else happened. People looked up at the stars, smiled, and whispered a quiet phrase that spread faster than any broadcast. Finally. Humanity had always wondered when someone out there would come knocking. For centuries, they had sent probes, signals, and greetings into the void, hoping to find company. And now the void had answered, but not with friendship. Still, humanity did not tremble. It prepared. The declaration came from a species called the Vuren Dominion, a civilization of immense size, spanning a dozen systems. They had crushed worlds, subjugated races, and enforced peace through strength. They believed themselves unchallenged. Their fleets were massive, their weapons unmatched, their arrogance absolute. They saw Earth as nothing more than another prize. But Earth was not like the others. At the United Earth Assembly, representatives from every continent gathered. The chamber buzzed with controlled energy. The message from the Vuren Dominion played on the screens behind the council seats, harsh mechanical voices demanding immediate compliance. When it ended, silence followed. Then the chairperson stood and said calmly, "They think we're still in our infancy. Let's show them what we've learned." From that moment, the world moved as one. Nations that once competed began to cooperate. Research labs opened their doors. Old rivalries dissolved under a shared purpose. For the first time in history, humanity's divisions became irrelevant. The stars had threatened their home, and humanity was ready to respond. The first step was understanding the enemy. The Vuren ships entered the outer system within days. They moved with military precision, enormous carriers shaped like floating citadels escorted by destroyers and frigates. They sent drones ahead to scan the planets and moons. When they reached Mars, they transmitted their final warning: submit or be removed. But the response they received was unexpected. A single signal came from a station orbiting Mars. It contained just one image, a human smiling. The Vuren officers were confused. To them, smiles were strange. On their world, baring teeth was a sign of aggression. They thought it meant surrender through fear. They didn't understand that for humans, a smile could mean many things. In this case, it meant defiance. Then the human fleets appeared. At first, the Vuren dismissed them as primitive. The ships were smaller, rougher, patched with armor and technology that looked outdated compared to their sleek designs. But when the battle began, perception changed. Human ships didn't fight like the Dominion expected. They didn't form rigid lines or follow predictable tactics. They moved chaotically, weaving through enemy fire with precision and daring. Each vessel acted independently but still coordinated with perfect timing. It was as if every pilot had already seen the battle play out in their mind. They turned what looked like disorder into deadly art. The first wave ended in shock. The Dominion lost several ships before they even realized how. Human weapons weren't stronger, but they were smarter. They targeted weak points, disabled propulsion, and used captured wreckage as shields. The Dominion retreated temporarily, regrouping beyond Jupiter. Humanity didn't chase. They watched, waiting. On Earth, the news spread. People didn't cheer out of hatred. They felt pride. For once, all humans stood together, not as nations, but as one species protecting its home. The smiles that spread across the planet were not cruel. They were confident. The Dominion couldn't comprehend it. To them, war was about overwhelming force. To humans, it was about understanding, creativity, and endurance. When the Dominion tried electronic warfare, humans adapted within hours. When they changed formation, humans shifted tactics mid-battle. Every move was met with a counter, as if the entire species had prepared for this test all along. Hidden within the asteroid belt, humanity revealed its real strength. Massive platforms disguised as mining stations activated, unfolding into defense grids and weapon arrays. Swarms of drones launched, guided by artificial intelligence built not for control but cooperation. Humanity didn't rely on a single command center. Every soldier, every engineer, every AI worked together as equals. The Dominion, bound by hierarchy, could not match such flexibility. Days turned into weeks. Battles erupted near moons and gas giants. The Dominion grew frustrated. They had never faced a foe that smiled even in defeat. Even when human ships were destroyed, their crews transmitted laughter and encouragement to others. To the Dominion, it was madness. To humans, it was determination. In one of the larger engagements near Saturn, a young commander named Ryan led a small task force against a much larger enemy fleet. Outnumbered 5-1, his ships danced through debris fields and ice rings. When asked for a retreat order, Ryan simply said, "Not yet. They're still learning how we fight." The Vurin flagship focused its weapons on Ryan's ship, firing continuous beams of energy. The shields cracked, the hull burned, and alarms filled the bridge. But before the flagship could finish the kill, Ryan gave one last command, activating a cluster of dormant satellites in the ring's shadow. The satellites weren't weapons in the usual sense. They were mirrors, thousands of them. In an instant, the sunlight from Saturn's edge reflected back, blinding the Dominion sensors. Human ships vanished from their targeting systems. When the light cleared, the Dominion flagship's main reactor was gone, ripped apart by precise torpedoes. The entire battle turned in seconds. The story of the Saturn defense became legend across Earth. It wasn't just a victory. It was a statement. Humanity didn't need superior firepower. They had imagination. The Dominion pulled back beyond Neptune, regrouping near the edge of the system. Their leaders couldn't understand what they faced. They studied human communication, culture, and behavior, trying to find a weakness. They saw confusion, people laughing, sharing stories, making art even during wartime. To them, it looked like chaos. But deep down, that chaos was the source of strength. One analyst among the Dominion finally warned their High Council. "They do not fear us because they have lived through worse. Their history is full of conflict, yet they grow stronger each time. They will not kneel." The Council dismissed the warning and ordered a full assault on Earth. When their armada entered orbit, humanity was ready, not with one giant defense line, but with thousands of smaller ones. Every city had its shield network. Every orbiting station was armed. Every continent coordinated under a single system that didn't rely on command but on trust. The Dominion fired massive orbital cannons, but human defenses bent and adapted, redirecting energy through planetary grids. Every time a section failed, others compensated. It was like watching a living organism defend itself. Then the skies lit up, not from destruction, but from Earth's response, from the hidden bases on the moon. A fleet emerged. Ships built from both human and alien tech, reverse-engineered in record time. The Dominion thought they had the monopoly on innovation, but humanity had learned from every encounter. They had taken pieces of wrecked enemy ships, studied them, and built better versions. In weeks, the new human fleet launched toward the Dominion armada, but instead of attacking directly, they transmitted a message first. It was the same smile that had appeared before, now broadcast on every frequency. A reminder, the battle that followed would be studied for centuries. It wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a performance of unity. Humans fought not because they hated their enemy, but because they loved their world. That difference mattered. One by one, Dominion ships began to falter. Their systems couldn't handle the adaptability of human strategy. They had never fought a species that considered failure just another form of progress. Even in the middle of combat, humans learned, adjusted, and improved. When the Dominion's flagship finally fell, its commander sent one last message to Earth. "What are you?" The reply came from every human channel at once, voices from soldiers, scientists, and civilians. "We are humanity." Silence followed. The remaining Dominion fleets retreated beyond the edge of the system, never to return. They realized that Earth wasn't just another planet. It was a home to something unpredictable, resilient, and endlessly creative. Something that smiled in the face of war, not out of madness, but out of unbreakable spirit. Months later, as peace returned, the stars looked different. People no longer saw them as distant lights. They saw them as a challenge. Humanity had defended its home, but it had also discovered what it was capable of. Unity, ingenuity, hope. Ryan, now an admiral, stood in orbit watching Earth through the viewport of a new ship. Around him floated vessels built from human and alien designs combined, forming the first interstellar defense network. He spoke quietly to his crew. They thought war would break us. Instead, it reminded us who we are. The crew smiled. The same smile that had started it all. From that day on, across the galaxy, stories spread about the humans, the species that didn't fear the dark, the species that turned every threat into progress. Others whispered that declaring war on Irdi